Morning, everybody. It's 7:40, October 9th, 2023. Let's keep the year in here. Go back and watch and see how crazy I am. But there's a link on the bottom of this video. In order for this video to make any kind of sense, I highly recommend you watch that link first. Shout out to Oz, my man, for sending me that link. Got my brain thinking this morning. I appreciate you for it. So, go to that link, check it out. Go on now, check it out. It'll be alright. So I hope you checked out that link. Now then, moving on. In one of my previous videos, well, I guess I just better start off saying, in all my videos, I just try to get you to think. I've talked about MK Ultra, and that's been proven. Anyways, how they program this in the media, I think we can all agree, both sides have narratives they have to push. Want to keep us in fear, blah, 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 etc., etc. Look here, not there, right? So now that you've seen that link, hopefully you watch that link. Maybe you're like me, the first thing you was confused, right? A little bit of confusion. Like, well, where does that leave us, right? Well, I racked my brain for a little bit and started thinking about everything going on in the news. As you can see, we're about to go to something. And I think I might have pieced some things together. I was talking to one of my buddies this morning, and he didn't think I was going too crazy with it, so I don't mind repeating it. I probably would have repeated it anyways, but I did want a more sound mind, I guess, before making the video. So, before I get into that, I've not watched this video yet, so I have no idea what they're going to say, but let's get into it just real quick.
Well, we're joined by Gilad Erdan, who serves as Israel's ambassador to the UN, here on the couch with us in New York. Happy to have you with us this morning. Obviously, our thoughts, our prayers with your entire nation. What can you tell us this morning is the latest of what's happening in Israel?
Thank you for having me. These are devastating days for all Israelis. And as you showed your viewers, the numbers are unfathomable. I mean, we experienced an unprecedented attack during our Jewish holidays on the Jewish Sabbath. I mean, hundreds of Israeli civilians were butchered in the streets. Grandparents and the elderly were taken, dragged from their homes into Gaza. Mothers with their babies, sometimes only the babies, were taken hostage. It's really unfathomable. And 600, I hope everyone understands, 600 fatalities in Israel proportionally is like having here 20,000 American fatalities. 20,000 people who are being butchered, massacred by these savage terrorists. It's our 9/11. We should all understand it. It's our 9/11, and from today on, things will never be in Israel as they were. But we are strong. We are a resilient people. We've gone through hardships, and we will win also this war. We will prevail.
You know, Ambassador, you just put that into a really interesting perspective. So the equivalent of 20,000 Americans, your 9/11, you know, we fought back after our 9/11. What do you think when you hear a Democratic congressman in this country, Ilhan Omar, say, you know, it's time for a ceasefire?
I'm not going to comment directly to Ilhan Omar. I said many times in the past what I think about the squad and their anti-Semitic views. We're not going to listen to anyone right now. We are fighting for our people. You know, today we have the Security Council of the UN that will be convened. We expect everyone, those who support the democratic values, liberal values, and we expect all of them to support Israel, to condemn explicitly Hamas, and to say that they support 100% our right to defend ourselves. We don't want any lectures now explaining us how to do it, what means to use. We are going to use every means at our disposal, because you know what? We are fighting exactly like you fought against ISIS or against Al-Qaeda. These barbaric terrorists, they have the same ideology. Hamas, we should all understand who is Hamas. They're not looking to compromise or to have a dialogue with Israel. They only want to annihilate the one and only Jewish state. Their charter says, it's loud and clear, you should butcher every Jew that you meet. And that's what they did on the Jewish holiday. They butchered, like during the Holocaust, you know, hundreds of kids, babies. Our daughters are missing. There are so many people who are still missing, and we are now, you know, we are committed now to prevent these atrocities from happening again, and we will do it.
Do you believe you'll get that support from both the current administration in the United States and the UN? When you look at the UN, the amount of resolutions they passed that focus on Israel, condemning Israel, do you really believe they'll coalesce at this moment? Will you have the space necessary to get the retribution that Israel needs?
Look, I'm not naive, and I've been serving and representing Israel at the UN for the last 3 years. I know all the moral distortions of the UN and the automatic majority against Israel. But today we expect everyone, and first and foremost, you know, the free world, the democratic world. Israel is at the forefront of fighting terrorism, of fighting radicalism. We can all see the terrible pictures coming from Israel every day. So I'm not naive, but I hope that this time they will all understand what needs to be done, and that is full support, full backing to the state of Israel in our fight against terrorism. Exactly as we were all united to back and support the free world, the democratic world, when we all needed to eliminate ISIS, because we realized they want to annihilate us, our way of living, our values. That's what we are facing now in Israel, coming from Gaza.
So you'll be asking for full support for what needs to be done, in your words. So what does need to be done?
It's a very tough and hard question, because obviously I cannot share our military's plan on TV. We don't want them to be prepared. But as you said, and I believe everyone understands, that we don't want to hear these calls to restraint, for calm of both sides. We keep hearing these. It's coming basically from the UN and the UN's leadership. These immoral equation between the barbaric terrorists, those who attacked us, and Israel, the democratic, the only democracy, liberal democracy in the Middle East that is defending its civilians from these barbaric terrorists. We don't want to hear these calls. We're not going to listen to them. We're going to use every means at our disposal in order to fully obliterate the terrorist infrastructure of Hamas. And this time it must happen, because it's about our existence, it's about our future as the one and only Jewish state in the world, in the Middle East, surrounded by enemies.
Ambassador, it's unfathomable. You know, the administration I worked for, the Trump administration, you were there on that beautiful sunny day, September 15th, 2020, when we had peace accords coming since 1996, first time since 1996, and now here we are, September of 2023, a much different story.
I'm Steve Doocy. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page.
All right, that was interesting. That the way I had that worded, I thought maybe it was gonna be something different, like trying to get this generation, 2 generations, whatever, under Generation X a reason to believe in something, but that's not what was going on. Sorry, there was something that was still bothering me. Dog hair. Alright, so anyways, I'm gonna get to kind of the point here. If you were thinking like confused and everything, here's what I came up with, and we could probably take it all the way to Obama if we wanted to, because in his inaugural speech, like I've said before, he said things like forward thinking and bringing Muslims in, or something about Muslims. Not blaming Muslims here, just for the record. But they don't like Christians, that's for sure, or anyone who's not Muslim. But I just got lost in my head. I'm trying to remember everything I talked about with my buddy, because before I got on here and made a video, I just want to make sure I wasn't too far out in, say, right field, I guess. So anyways, let's take it to like what's going on. Okay, let's start with the Afghan withdrawal. Obviously, if that video had any kind of meat to it, right, you know, we could all see it with our own eyes, right? Probably some truth in it. And then there was clips in it about the Ghost War too. We saw the tanks and stuff like that. If you've never heard of it, YouTube it. It's on there. I checked it out this morning just to make sure there's a few things on it. But so what was the purpose in that withdrawal, right? Was to do exactly what Biden did. He left half our gear there. China started talking about Taiwan. Russia started invading Ukraine. Kind of like supposedly, right? I'm not saying it's not going on, but the why is the question, right? One of my videos I said because they didn't want NATO that close to them. That made sense to me, but this is going a little bit further. So now you got this going on in Israel. They know, Biden may not do it, but the U.S. will have Israel's back. Okay, so we have Afghanistan gotten half our gear. We've been funding Ukraine and sending some of our stuff over there. So we're basically half naked on our defenses. Our recruitment is down because they're more worried about what time a drag queen show is and teaching soldiers and Marines and seamen or whatever, don't want to offend anybody, airmen and stuff like that, to be woke instead of mission ready, which makes us weaker. A generation coming up, it might be a small majority because that's all they'll show you on the news, but they have nothing to believe in. That's what that Remick Vamsey guy says, or however you say his name, that's running. They needed a cause to believe in, so people don't believe in America anymore. Some of the rabbit holes I've been down, if there's any truth to them, books I've read, which I'm going to have to bring up. I mean, you have to make up your own mind about that. So anyways, forgot where I was. So now this is going on. You have people moving away from our dollar while this is going on. There's been talks about a cashless society. Switzerland, for sure, has microchips. Alright. So, an attack's coming, I think. Either way, we're gonna be involved. China's big enough, in my opinion, they could carry out 2 assaults at the same time. Russia and Ukraine just, yeah, they show us stuff, okay, but once we get involved with Israel, even though I think that'll be pushed far back as long as possible because Biden's in office, but once we're actively involved, we're mobilizing troops for war, that's when China can make their move first off. Russia and Ukraine are actually in cohorts, and we've been giving the Ukraine millions and millions of dollars, equipment, blah blah blah. So I'm kind of getting at, maybe Ukraine's going to turn on us. This has all just been a ploy to get to what's going to happen, because there's videos out there that Ukraine doesn't like Christians and stuff like that, and they're not very fond of free speech and etc., etc. So move would be China may not even mess with Taiwan anymore, because once we're in Israel and we're funding Ukraine, we're sending stuff in Ukraine, that's going to leave us open. That's my personal opinion, because a lot of us has been rubbing our eyes open. So let's look at the setup, right? This has all been set up, because I mean they got, you know, sneak attack, right? That's what they're telling us, sneak attack. But we need an enemy. I used to say about 9/11, you know, I'm there for 9/11, or you know, when I was in Iraq, you know, I'm fighting the war for 9/11. You can die for oil if you want to. This whole conversation, you can find it on Introduction to the Red Pill, and inside that video I'll talk about reading things that can and cannot be said. And it states in there how women were allowed to vote before, and they were in the schools, and they were in the doctor's offices, scientists, and everything else like that. And after Reagan funded and rebuilt the Mujahideen, that branched off to like ISIS and Taliban and all that. So we needed an enemy to get involved, because as soon as Bin Laden and all those guys got kind of back in power, they took the women out of the schools and told them to get back in the kitchen. All right, so I was over there fighting, and me and D-Man were talking, you know, why do you think we're here, 9/11, why do you think we're here, oil, you die for oil, we die for 9/11. Anyways, later on, about let's just say 6 months later, we're in the chow hall, okay? There's a Fox News channel, and they're throwing up there that women for the first time are being allowed to vote. Now, this had been about 04, okay? Getting close to 05 maybe, somewhere in there. And I looked over at D-Man, and I was like, that's why we're here. And he's like, you know what, agreed, good job, right? But according to that book, it was already able to do that. So they push agendas on us and give lies to us to make us want to go force democracy down other people's throats. Now, not everybody can get here when, you know, we had borders and laws and stuff. So where people would want to come over here, but now they're turning it into, you know, like every other country, and there's going to be nowhere to run to. But, so all this is planned out. Of course, there's going to be another coronavirus, already talking about it. Super duper whatever. And if you've watched the things I've watched, you've heard Fauci say the next time they're going to have no choice but to get the vaccine, because the next one's going to be so deadly or whatever. It's out there, you can find it. I've seen it with my own eyes. So, in some of my other videos, I've talked about resets. So are they about to push another reset? I've also talked about, because these are some conspiracy theories, that they're going to push their version of the end times. Because in order to do a reset and to redo America and redo everything, especially for a one world government, a lot of people are going to have to die. Especially those of us that are older, like Generation X and up, of course, but maybe the generation below. I know it's hard to say, because the news only shows me one version of how people are. But what I'm getting at is they have to erase some history, so they can rewrite history again. Because just going off what I just told you, there's a history they give us, and there's actual history. There's a history we're taught, and then there's the history that's known. But so the whole world is a stage. We've been watching it. This attack on Israel was planned. It was allowed to happen. That's why we need an enemy. We need to get involved. So this is the issue that's being pushed. So please believe this is how they're going to hit us. I can't give you the order, but this is just my way of thinking. Okay, I can't prove any of this, but this is what could possibly come in our future. Because like I said, we need an enemy. According to our books and everything that Trump did and blah blah blah, we're supposed to have Israel's back. Now, the flaw to that is Biden is in office, and we all know he ain't gonna do nothing until he realizes, oh yeah, this is part of the plan. Okay, so if this is part of the plan, cabal, elite, and all this, Let's think about everything that happened. We left some gear to some enemies. We're funding a war. Your opinion on if we should be there or not? Millions of dollars equipment. China's been threatening about Taiwan. Let's not forget about North Korea, whatever they're always doing. I think I've heard Iran's getting close to a nuclear bomb. Countries are turning away from our dollar, which is making us weaker. We all know, well, the majority of us. I'd like to think if you're on YouTube watching videos, there's a good chance you feel the prices. All right, we're all the same out here. None of us above the other one. Okay, maybe some people just don't feel comfortable getting in front of a camera. Maybe some people don't have time to get in front of a camera. I don't know. Some people just don't care about it. Just want to listen to other people. But either way, man, where was I going with that? So we've got our enemy now. Oh yeah, so we've got North Korea. China was talking about Taiwan, Ukraine, and Russia. They've been pushing the woke movement, trying to push a socialist movement, Marxist ideas. Crime is good, common sense is bad. Destroy the family unit. There's more than one gender. Same-sex marriages. Trust the science. We want your guns. China's buying up farmland. Gates has his big toe stuck in our food. GMO everything. The list can obviously keep on going. There's been meat plants that have burned down since COVID's happened. Let's not forget about Palestine, Ohio. There's minerals underneath that ground they didn't know about. Let's not forget about Hawaii. I made a small video about that from other people's videos. Please hit the like button. Drop a comment. Tell me what you think. It does help with the algorithms and things I don't know about to get the video out there. If you want to share it, by all means, please share it. It's not going to hurt my feelings. Definitely tell me what you think. So if all this is a ploy, China, Russia, Ukraine, all working together, right? Of course, Iran and the Hamas or whatever being able to attack Israel. All these guys are in cohorts, right? With each other, cahoots. Well, we're all in cahoots, hanging out there in the hollers and smoking the wacky backy. But tell me what you think, because all this is set up. They've got to get us involved. Our military's weak, recruitment's down. To do a reset, they got to wipe us out. Oh, that's where I was going. So they'll release the next strain of virus. World War III will happen. So now they're getting us on the war front. The people that are going to have to go fight. People who can't go fight won't go fight. Don't believe in America or freedom. Let's just say freedom. Don't believe in freedom. You need your government to be your daddy because you don't believe in a God, right? God Almighty, Creator, Alpha and Omega, all that good stuff. Send His Son down, die for our sins, right? All these things going on, yeah. So for the research, so you got to kill the people at home. The lockdowns were a test. The fact that even the corona, that virus leaking, was a test. If you've watched 12 Monkeys, the movie, you know how they leaked it. All right, just go watch that. Watch the end of it. Just go to the end of the movie if you don't want to watch it all. You'll be all right. Yeah. A lot to think about. So I'm trying to make sure. So yeah, so all these things going on are the exact opposite of what God asked in the Bible. God even tells us we have to work. Government's like, no, don't work. We'll pay you to stay at home. It's oh yeah, so it's either their version trying to push the end times, if you will, and plus you got all the UFO things, and if you've heard of Project Bluebeam, or watch my video on it, then it's kind of like a simulated alien invasion, and you can put Jesus coming to the sky as a second coming. People are like, well, how can they do it? Anyways, so without getting into all that, let's go with the first step of that, or part of it that could very well be a possibility, is a staged alien invasion. We have the technology to build the planes that are UFOs. Still ain't nobody with all these cameras in hands seen an alien yet. It's weird. It could be out here for everybody to see. Well, my heat's kicking on, but leave me a comment, please, if you want. If not, I get it, whatever. Just hit the like button. Don't, whatever. It's cool. But thanks for watching.